YouTube sequence, I'll be here with a review of the Ressha Sentai ToQger Ressha Gattai series ToQ Ressha 12 DX Hyper Ressha Tei-Oh. So this is our big mecha of the season. This came out in October 2014, so this review's been a long time coming, busy schedules and such like. But it is finally here, sort of. Bear with me. My review station is really tiny, and Tei-Oh is very large, so it's gonna be a treat. But let's go ahead and start this up with the Hyper Ressha Terminal mode right here. So as you can see, it is quite long, actually. The terminal itself is about 566 millimeters long. So it's got quite the length on it, for sure. This mode is very much rather plain, and unfortunately, despite it being a large robot, does not have electronics or anything of the like. It looks like it would, because it's got a very battery pack-esque thing right down here, but alas, it does not. So just like all the other ToQ robots, there's no electronics in this thing, which is a little bit of a shame, I think. But anyway, not a whole lot to do in this mode. You got some cannons up here in the front, right there, to help defend the world. And included is, of course, the Hyper Ressha. Same Hyper Ressha, well, not the same mode, so to speak, but the same style of train that came with the Daikaiten cannon. Basically, it turns into the little Hyper Ressha here. You flip it around, and that is the head for Tei-Oh. And you got all sorts of other modes to make the other heads and such, too. Actually, yeah, that's the head for Tei-Oh. I was right. I know what I'm doing. And, of course, you do have the port back there to use with all the other Ressha Gattai series ones as well. So there is that. Playability-wise, I mean, like I said, there's not a whole lot to do in this mode. You can make them rise the tracks and get stuck there, because that's how the ports work. These are supposed to be down. And so that can ride all the way up to the front, and I can park it and just stay there and hang out. These are for the ToQ Rainbow formation, and I will go over those later, but it's just a simple switch. There's 3 switches right there that will activate those. So with those down, it rolls right along there just fine. No problems whatsoever. You can add build onto the mix and raise that. So it's got a little bit of fun playability with the Ressha's, but with no electronics or anything, it's nothing too wild or crazy. To get into the Ressha mode, it is a very difficult transformation. It's probably the most difficult Sentai transformation I've ever had to do. And trust me, it just gets harder with this guy. I fold up the arms, because that takes a lot of effort right here. Fold up the arms, those will snap in place, and you flip this little switch right here, and that will unlock him, and you simply keep holding it down because it locked again, and there you go. You have the Hyper Ressha itself, at least the big giant version of the Hyper Ressha. The tiny one will sit right up here and just hang out. It's not connected, but it has a little groove to sit in, so it will sit firmly in place unless you tip it upside down or something like that. So you can roll it around with no fear of the little guy popping out. So here it is. It's different. It's big, it's bulky, it's blocky, and it doesn't do a whole lot, but I kind of like that about it. This is probably actually my favorite of the modes. I think I'm going to end up displaying it as Tei-Oh, but it rolls very well, and like I said, it's got a lot of heft to it, and I think like a train of this size is quite impressive. It is quite a bit hollow in the back here. There's not a whole lot going on, and thanks to the arms being in there, it's not like you can really store a whole lot of Ressha in there. You might be able to get away with putting one in there. I don't even think it will hold in there, but so it's not really useful as a carrier, so to speak. That would be more Terminal's deal, not the Ressha mode. But it's kind of cool. It's got kind of a face going on here. I keep seeing these as teeth for whatever reason, and eyes and such. I don't know, I'm weird like that. But I don't know. I really like this mode for what it's worth. It's a big blocky train, but I really dig it. So now for the actual transformation that is the most difficult transformation in Sentai history, by far. To get it to Hyper Ressha Tei-Oh, you simply face that towards you. We're halfway done. And then the head will simply plop right here, and you have Hyper Ressha Tei-Oh. That's legitimately it. So Hyper Ressha Tei-Oh is, by all definition of the word, a brick. He's got no leg movement whatsoever. He's just gonna... And that is it. Arm rotation. That gets stuck back here. So it's not even a full arm rotation. And obviously the head cannot move because it is stuck as the little Ressha guy. But yeah, that's it for him. Like I said, no sounds, no electronics, no anything. And considering he costs 12,800 yen at retail, that is really dumb, I think. I understand he is big and bricky, and that's a lot of plastic cost to cover, but Bragigas at least had really awesome electronics. And heck, most of our big mechas have had really awesome electronics. So I don't know what this guy's excuse is. I really don't. I like the overall design. The suit in the show I actually really enjoy. It's a little bit sleeker. I love black and gold as a color scheme. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, possible color scheme. The splashes of red, my other favorite color, definitely works for me quite well. So while I dig design, the toy's execution is just flat as all get out. Thankfully, there is another mode combining all of our Ressha into ToQ Rainbow. And in order to do that, we need to get him back into Terminal mode, which is not difficult to do whatsoever. From here, it is still relatively simple. I mean, you're going to detach these, because these are avenged. Well, those can stay there for now. There's actually kind of two quasi-formations for ToQ Rainbow. Basically, this front flap will fall off completely, because who needs that? That will fold down right there. There's one more other thing we have to do, but it's kind of below this right now. And basically, all of the Ressha are going to slide into these plates. We'll go ahead and pop those 3 plates forward. The Ressha are going to sit on these plates to form the combination. And so we need our red, blue, yellow, green, pink, car carrier, tank, diesel, fire, police, build, shield, and drill Ressha's to make this combination. And of course we need our little hyper guy too. So it's go ahead and get started. That was not proper English. But these are all kind of go in a specific place. Alright, so just like we were doing ToQo, you're going to want red in the middle, with blue over here, green over here, yellow will go right down here on that shoulder, while pink will go up on that shoulder. So like I said, a lot like ToQo's formation. Diesel and build will continue the arms. Build will go right there, and diesel will go right down there. Now for all our support Ressha, car carrier will slide in right there. Tank will slide in right there. Shield is actually going to slide in right down here, with drill sliding in right there. Then finally we have fire hanging out up there, and then police right down there. There is a button right here that will make this platform fold up. Turn him around. Stand him right down there. And here's our bottom portion of ToQ Rainbow. And he is so tall that I can't really get a good camera frame on him. But flip this part up from the back and flip it around as you do. So here's an actual camera angle of it. So flip that around and bring it up. That will be the head. And as you can see, there's a clip back there. Make your Hyper Ressha look like an L block from Tetris, and that will plug in right there. And so here you have ToQ Rainbow, which sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. Now, being the terminal as the base of this robot, it's just a terminal standing up, you're looking at over 500 millimeters tall, clocking at what is probably, if not close to, the tallest mecha combination we've ever had in Sentai, which normally would be quite impressive, but given the fact that it's just so kind of tall and lanky as opposed to tall and menacing or powerful looking or anything like that, it doesn't give off that same impression to me as things like G12 or Samurai Hao do. And I think that's a little bit unfortunate. I like what they were going for, a combination of all the trains that had potential to look really cool. Unfortunately, due to the limitations, you only use the front parts of the Ressha, and because of that, you're left with dead corpses, I don't know, of Build Dio, Diesel-O, and ToQ-O just laying there collecting dust, along with the rear ends of Fire and Police as well, just sitting there because there isn't any sort of method using the ends of the Ressha. If there was some sort of attachment for him to use those other guys, or if they plugged in on the back for storage or something like that, then I could easily get behind this combination because I love mecha combinations that utilize the entire line thus far. I think it shows a lot of creativity, and it helps display for sure. Having everything in one place helps a display, absolutely. And I feel like the way this panned out was a very, I don't want to say a lazy way out because I hate it when people call things lazy, but a very unimaginative way of doing it. Considering this show is all about imagination, I think that that's a little bit of a bummer. The one benefit the combination does have is the fact that it uses a slider system instead of using the joints that most of the Ressha Gattai series units use. And because of that, you can actually use Kanitoy and Gashapon versions of these, which were only the front cars. So theoretically, you could only buy Tei-Oh and an entire set of Kanitoy or Gashapon Ressha's, and still make a fully functioning, good-looking ToQ Rainbow, which I think is pretty unique in terms of these combinations, which usually you have to get all of the normal mecha. But because the mecha this season are the gimmick, it's a really unique take that can actually offer a little bit more of an affordability route, which I think is kind of cool. Like I said, I like what they were going for, all the trains together with the terminal. But there's so much empty space in his design between the gap in the arms and the gap at the waist. Basically where the joints should be if this was a movable figure. But because it's not, it's just a tall brick, you're looking at a lot of dead space that just doesn't look good in toy form. It looks fine in the show, I think. I like the design in the show. And the Fighting Action Robo figure, I think is pretty decent too. It still has its own flaws, which I'll get into if I review that. But again, it's just something that could have been handled a lot better, I think. Now there is one alternate thing that you can do. From the bottom down here, if you go ahead and pop off both of what were Tei-Oh's arms, you can attach them right up here onto ToQ Rainbow's arms to give him like these little cannon things on his arms. And I guess that's technically a joint up there. But it's an extra little thing, and I like them up there a lot more. It helps bulk up the arms a little bit. The feet don't really need any more bulking than they already are. So I like them up here on the arms for sure. So overall, if you're a fan of Ressha Sentai ToQger, then by all means you might actually enjoy this release. But being someone who's collected most of the big mecha over the last few years, I can safely say that this one is probably my biggest disappointment. Yeah, Gosei Ultimate didn't have a full-on combination, and it didn't have electronics, but something about that design really captured me that just isn't here. And then all the other ones had lights, sounds, compatibility up the butt that I really did enjoy. Now, that's not to say it's an awful toy. I really dig the Ressha mode, and the Terminal mode is actually quite fun to pose the Reshas on. It gives you an alternate display method if you so wish to try to make a train station sort of get up for your display instead of straight up displaying the robots. So that is a cool way of trying to display things. So as a toy, I think it is fun, but design execution with Tei-Oh just makes it a very limited robot, and ToQ Rainbow just is not my favorite combination. So like I said, it's not to say it's necessarily a bad toy, but given the price tag, I don't see how it is worth that much whatsoever, other than fitting into that big Mecha of the Year slot, which more or less is stuck in that price point nowadays. And given the fact that there's no sounds, no electronics, and because of that the playability is rather simple, I cannot justify that price. If you can get it for about half off or so, 6,000 yen, I can totally get behind it for a price like that. But at the full retail price, I can definitely say this was not worth it. Like I said, not bad, but there's very few redeeming factors about this guy. So thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.